You are an explorer with a curious mind about the world, but every challenge could cost you a few lives. Therefore, you always wish you could have a few copies of yourself in this world. Now, the opportunity has come. The laboratory is open for experiments to create people, and you decide to visit the lab, using the periodic table to create a new version of yourself. However, how much will this process cost? Step 1. Collecting materials. With your freebie hunting habit, you decide to start with nature. Walking along a path, you discover a volcano. In the remaining lava stream, you find a glowing purple stone called vomit rock. When you break it, you smell a garlic-like odor. Fortunately, you manage to collect some fluorine from it. Additionally, when H2S gas combines with oxygen at the mouth of the volcano, it creates a large number of single-celled algae. A bit further, you discover a meteorite crater. A piece of metal falls from the sky, containing more than 80% iron. You happily collect it, once again freebie hunting. Continuing on, you are unexpectedly dazzled by bright light. You think it might be a diamond. However, it turns out to be just a small diamond, about 1.6 carats, not worth much. In fact, most of the elements in nature exist in compounds or mixtures, so you decide to buy the rest from the store. The store asks you to pack the materials you want. Some elements are quite beautiful, like a trading card. Predicting that some materials might be wasted or not fully used in the experiment, you decide to deposit to coins. After the experiment, you'll calculate the money spent. You then officially begin your plan to create a person in the lab. Step 2. Creating the person. Following the steps in the experiment, you begin by creating a perfect skeleton. First, you add 1050 grams of calcium because calcium determines the strength and hardness of the bones. If the calcium amount is too low, the skeleton created will develop into strange shapes. Next, you add 578 grams of phosphorus and 18 grams of silicon. Phosphorus helps promote bone calcification, while silicon helps form cartilage joints. Additionally, you need to add elements like manganese, molybdenum, and others to maintain the metabolism of bones, making sure your bones are really strong. Once you have all the ingredients, you create 29 pieces of skull bones, 51 pieces of body bones, and 126 pieces of limb bones. The next step is to create cells. The human body has about 37 trillion cells, and the main components of each cell are carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen, and phosphorus. You add a total of 25.2 kilograms of materials, and some special cells require additional trace elements. If any element is missing, for example, a new element, some neurons might be incomplete, affecting the brain's cognition, making your Bach and I know 1 inch potentially a full. If a rare element is missing, the vitality of sperm will be severely reduced. Of course, it's also important to note that not all elements should be used in excess. If you add too much element T, Bach and I know, one could have a high risk of heart disease. If you add too much element S, it could cause severe stomach pain, and the skin will develop purple spots. In conclusion, to create a perfect cell, you need to use various elements in specific ratios, and the human body has more than 200 different types of cells. You spend 48 hours completing their production. Finally, you combine the bones you created earlier into a basic body. But now Bach and I know, one is very stiff and cannot perform life activities. You need to add a bit of life source, which is dihydrogen monoxide H2O to transport nutrients and maintain osmotic pressure balance. At this point, your plan to create a person is basically complete. You excitedly fly up, proud of yourself. But you forgot to pay. Now it's time to calculate the total cost. Step 3. Calculating the cost. You ask for the payment at the store. The element you use the most is 45.5 kilograms, costing 206 RMB in total. The hydrogen element needs 7 kilograms, costing 1,171 RMB. The oxygen element only needs 0.7 kilograms, but each kilogram costs 1,486 RMB. Eggs only need 0.1 kilograms, but they're cheap, costing only 41 RMB. The trace elements make up 0.05% of the body, totaling about 516 RMB. Overall, the cost is quite cheap. But wait, you haven't accounted for carbon. You used high-quality diamonds, with each gram costing 6,250 RMB. In total, you've spent 78,750,000 RMB. So expensive, why didn't you just rub it?